everyone. Hope you're having a great day. He is Paul Gerard. I am, of course, Kevin Kelly. We are Gerard and Associates. This is the G&A Way podcast, and we really appreciate you tuning in. Check us out on GerardAssociates.com, Podbean, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and even on YouTube, Paul. Hey, it's great to be with you. How you doing?
Yeah, same here. I'm good. I'm getting into the Christmas holiday mood.
Yeah, season one's in the can.
Yeah.
Season one of the G&A Way EMS CQI podcast is now in the can. Can you believe it?
No, I'm surprised. And we started talking about this the end of last year. We had a very loose framework, right? We were just kind of cruising around in the car and grabbing lunch when we were talking about if we did a podcast, what would it look like? And I think for year one, we've gone through some growing pains in terms of figuring out exactly how we want to do this and whatnot. And we're still figuring out a little bit, but I really like where we're at. The last couple of podcasts I thought were very good. And I think, we're seeing increased listenership. So that's a great thing. And now we got to get ready for season two.
Season two, it's you and I have been together since the late 80s. I was working at Stat Ambulance. I was an EMT on the 911 truck. I was an EMT intermediate intern, and at some point I did it. You were my mentor for one of the IVs that I used to get that EMT intermediate credential.
Right.
So we've been around a long time. We connected at St. Luke's. I was your mentee. You were my mentor. We ended up becoming partners, and we evolved to become. You were the executive director of Neponset Valley Paramedic and Ambulance Services. I came over, became your assistant director, and from there I catapulted into being the EMS chief in Webster. But one of the things that resonates about the G&A Way EMS CQI podcast and you and I is it's the first thing that we have ever discussed and talked about to innovate EMS that we actually accomplish.
Yeah, we do a lot of talking. So in this case, we're actually acting.
Yeah. So my thoughts on season one, our intent was to take put a different spin on the traditional EMS CQI podcasters and podcasting because of our thought process and our personalities.
Right.
So, good.
Yeah, over the years, people have been privy to conversations. You and I, as a director and assistant director at Norwood, we'd have a staff meeting, and at the end of the staff meeting, you and I would start talking, and people would just gather around to listen to us talk, and they kind of enjoyed the banter. So when we discussed creating the G&A Way podcast, one of the things we wanted to bring is that kind of authentic. This is like just eavesdropping on Kevin and Paul.
Yeah.
Because of that, we're not highly scripted, right? We have a very rough outline. We have a topic, we have a rough outline, and a couple of major things we want to make sure we hit. And other than that, the thing just goes off on its own, and we just discuss whatever comes to be. So we're really looking for authentic discussions on EMS quality improvement, how people should be doing it, ways to improve their technique in doing their CQI process. We haven't delved as of yet heavily into the clinical component of CQI because I think in our minds, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but we like the leadership, managing theory, inspirational, get people to be all that they can be kind of aspect to it. So it's been heavy for season one, at least, has been heavy in talking about more of the structure of your CQI process and how you should be implementing it. What talents and tricks and tips can we give you, thought processes that might help you to incorporate into your own CQI process?
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of great podcasts out there about airway management.
Right.
There are some great, Kelly Grayson. These guys are fabulous at the teaching, coaching, and mentoring of intubating, airway management, taking blood pressures, 12 lead EKGs.
Right.
So they got that really well covered.
Right.
What the gap that I think we see is that there aren't a lot of EMS CQI head cheerleaders out there that see EMS CQI with this, wait a minute, it's not compliance for checking a box, but we really have the opportunity to influence positive patient care going forward.
Right.
And how do you communicate that message in a traditional sterile EMS CQI? You know how, I mean, it's sterile, right? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah. It's a
data
little
and
boring. It's a little
it's
boring.
statistics
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
standard deviation. And, we're not kind of standard deviation kind of guys, because when we deviate, there's nothing about,
It's not
there's
standardly
nothing
done.
standard about our deviations.
Right. Right.
Right. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so that's sort of the masses that we're going for is, a little bit edgy, a little less sterile. We have a constant desire to get better. We have a vision for this podcast that at some point it's going to monetize, and we're going to go on the road, and we're going to espouse the virtues of how to fix the honorable but broken EMS system in crisis by using the G&A way in this podcast. What we want to show off is that we have a combined 80 years of EMS system wisdom in every phase of the game. I mean, there's not, between both of us, we have just about everything covered. It's been a great first year. I can't believe, because I've been putting it all up on social media. We have a G&A Way EMS CQI podcast Facebook page, Twitter page, LinkedIn page, Instagram as well. Although I'm not a big Instagram person yet, but I'm working on it. And the fact that we have now, I think, 15, 16 episodes plus this one in season 1, where, when we were driving around, it was like, all right, this is a great idea, but can we really pull it off? Can we get one recorded podcast up? And not only did we get one, but we got, 16 of them. And, there's some meaningful wisdom in each one of those podcasts.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do, but keep it a little entertaining, keep it light, talking everyday language about everyday topics. But we're presenting, to folks that there's a different way to do CQI that is more human-centric than it is big data driven. Not that that data isn't important and you should have a lot of that stuff in your pocket, but that's not really what people find challenging about doing CQI. It's that interpersonal, it's stressful. You're talking to people about things and telling them that they didn't perform the way you want them to. They take offense, they get defensive, they get argumentative. People have, get threatening sometimes, and it gets really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful for the patient, and it's not helpful for the CQI person who's doing the job under that stress, and it's not very productive to the individual being CQI'd. So we know there's a better way. We practice it every day in the G&A way. We know that you can win people over, convert them to converts, and you get better results from somebody who willingly says, yeah, okay, I get where you're going, and I'm okay with it, as opposed to somebody who's going to try to just, bullshit their way through the QA process so that you don't give them a hard time. So that's what we're about. We're about the humanistic approach, and we do it ourselves in trying to do CQI for others through Gerard and Associates, but we want to help other folks who are involved in CQI, encourage them and help them to feel that they're learning stuff that they can apply to their own practice.
And we want to do that in a entertaining, comedic, satirical sometimes. The Onion is a favorite periodical of at least me. So try to provide this sterile information in as entertaining a way as possible, so it sticks with you and it resonates with you,
right?
Whether you are a CQI coordinator or you're a paramedic.
Yeah,
that's our goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you never know where we're going to go with it, because we don't know where we're going with it. And now that we've got, 15, 16 episodes under our belt and we're getting ready for season 2, we're kind of getting our shtick down a little bit. And we want to introduce more of the Kevin and Paul flavor that it's akin to our phone conversations offline, although we can't say everything we say in our phone conversations. But we want to get, so the conversations are going to go all over the place. We're going to inject all sorts. We've injected movie references and how it applies to CQI, book references.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were talking about on the phone offline. We were talking about honorable but broken, the EMS system, and how EMS agencies are not able to get their states to recognize them as essential services, right? So that's a serious, legitimate topic that comes up. But in our phone conversation, we stretch that all the way to the first responders being cave people, and then
right, yeah,
and we were getting into this whole caveman analogy type
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah,
right.
It was pretty funny, and I wish we could recreate it. Maybe at some point we'll try to. But
yeah,
spontaneity of when we're talking, and we just kind of go, which always makes these discussions entertaining. So that's what we want to try to do and bring that back. But we want it to be something that people can learn from too, so they can improve their own CQI process stuff.
Right. So it was something. It was Jurassic Park. It was a couple of people trying to light fire and spark, and one of them slices a finger off, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Where's the ambulance? Who's going to stop the bleed? 8 minutes, 59 seconds, 90% of the time. What happens if there's a dinosaur that steps on the ambulance surface?
Well, even before that, we were talking about why will the community not recognize us as an essential service, but they do fire and police. And my comment to you was that fire and police have been around a lot longer than we have, and they've had a chance to develop those links, whereas EMS is relatively new. And that's where we got off and said, well, wait a minute, it's not really new. The first EMS response was from Cave Mom responding to Cave Sonny when he stepped out of the cave, and he stubbed his toe on a Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil. And Mom came out and comforted and treated him. That's the first responders of the day. So we kind of got off track in a fun way, and that's what we're trying to bring to the whole thing. So we'll get more into that sort of garbage in season 2 that I think people will find entertaining, but also cause you to think, stop and think. And is there a better way to do this? Is there a better way to improve the EMS situation?
Do you have a favorite episode from season 1?
I think each episode I've liked more than the previous every time we've done it. And I certainly like our current couple of episodes, but I like I like a lot of them. I like how to make money and improve your system. Episode 1 was interesting.
Stay out of trouble.
One of our most commonly listened to podcasts was a couple of podcasts ago for the ALS downgrade note. And that surprised us a little bit because we talked about the importance of an ALS downgrade note, and that's to date that's our highest hit podcast. So people seem to be enjoying that one. But I don't know if I have a favorite. Do you have a favorite? Which one?
Well, I was going to say, excuse me, and this is self-serving, but episode 10 was putting a lawyer on speed dial, and
right.
So I like that one. That didn't resonate as. Maybe because we put the word lawyer in there, that didn't resonate. But I'll tell you where I think the rubber meets the road with going forward in season 2. We'll talk about that. But episode 3, Paul. Remember episode 3 was incentivizing CQI, and we did it as part 1 and part 2.
Right.
And it's with the thought that thinking drives behavior, that this is so important, CQI, and getting the patient care right in the pre-hospital arena. And that means getting the paperwork right, because that implies you got the protocols right. And that plugs up all kinds of holes in risk management Swiss cheese. But until we come up with a way to pay the 1%er for being a 1%er and incentivizing that high quality, versus the rest of the folks on the G&A way, EMS system, paramedic excellence bell curve, until we find a way to incentivize CQI, we're not going to move the ball as quickly as we can. Mm-hmm. So incentivizing CQI part 1 and part 2 resonate with me.
So what gets you fired up for season 2? What types of topics? What things do you think it would be fun to talk about?
All right, so this is where I think season 2. All right, so the theme that you and I have hashed out in show prep from the 1990s book. It was a management leadership book. It wasn't In Search of Excellence. It was called Built to Last.
Yeah, good book.
Success Habits of Visionary Companies. I believe that was the title. And our spin on this is going to be Built to Last, success habits of visionary paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those guess who those visionary paramedics are, Paul?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, one is Paul Gerard, because that's in your title. I think I market you somehow on social media as a visionary. And the other one, I may not be to the visionary level that Paul Gerard is, but, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And what makes the visionary paramedic, the one percenter, expounding on that, we just did a show on that, but visualizing that, or continuing to visualize that paramedic CQI relationship as the most important relationship in an EMS system. So it behooves us to build that CQI system to last, build that CQI coordinator or leader to last, and build that paramedic, that aspiring one percenter, to last. And I think the next, I'd like to see us double our output. We did, I think we meant to do 12, but we did 16. So, maybe we do 24 in season 2, and
Right.
we'll probably end up doing more than that.
Right.
But I'd like to increase the amount of podcasts that we do and center around the theme built to last, success habits of visionary paramedics. And that would be me and you. But it's that one percenter behavior. So it's not just me and you. It's the flight medic guys, and it's these old, the Mayhops guys that had that drive to be built to last. Mm-hmm. That's where my head's at.
Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds good. We got a couple of things on deck, and one of them that I like and I'm looking forward to doing is the imposter syndrome, and how in EMS we all have a certain degree of imposter syndrome. What is it? And as a CQI person, because we always are trying to tie back these disparate discussions that kind of roam pretty far left or right, we always try to bring them back to center, which is this is about doing good quality improvement and taking good care of your people and your providers so they can take good care of patients. So imposter syndrome is a real thing. It's an actual condition, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think every provider has felt it at some point. So that's going to be one of our next couple of podcasts or so. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and, I agree.
We're also always looking for topics. If this is a topic that interests you in terms of EMS CQI and how to implement it and how you can strengthen your program, send us a note, right? You can reach us through our website, GerardAssociate.com, under the contact form. You can send a form to us. That comes directly to me, by the way. Or send an email to me, paul.gerard@GerardAssociate.com, and kevin.kelly at Gmail. No, is it Kevin Kelly Law? Kevin?
It's this is what I would send it to. If you want to contact me, send it to kevinkellylaw@icloud.com. And Kelly is spelled with an EY. So it's KEVINKELLEYLAW@icloud.com if you want to communicate with G&A or about the podcast or whatever you want to do. You can communicate directly with me, Paul and I are in cahoots. So
yeah, we'd love your thoughts on what you think of the podcast so far, where you think it should go, and what works or doesn't work from the podcasts. So we're interested in all that sort of stuff. What we tend to do is we pick topics that are on our mind at the moment that we find interest in discussing, just the two of us. And so what we're just doing really is we're trying to take those discussions and put them online and talk about the state of affairs of EMS and CQI in particular within the EMS system. So again, no idea where these conversations are going to go. They're wide ranging. Some of the topics, when you read the titles of some of our existing podcasts, I think you kind of get a flavor for what we're about and where we're going with this sort of thing. So let that be your guide, and hopefully we can give you some valuable stuff going forward.
What Paul and I really want to do is we want to position you as the paramedic to be in the best possible light when you have to sit in front of a CQI coordinator, or you have to sit in a deposition because you're being sued by a plaintiff's lawyer, or you're in front of an administrative law judge or the Office of Emergency Medical Services or some other regulatory agency. We want you to win. And in order to win, you gotta fill some gaps in the risk management Swiss cheese, which is, how the evidence that is presented to all these parties, where somebody can, make stuff up and screw with you. We don't want that to happen to you. We don't want it to happen to the CQI coordinator either.
Right. It's not just about the provider.
Right. I mean, we're very serious. Of these 80 years, we have deduced the entire EMS system through our 80 years of wisdom down to the relationship between the CQI coach and the coachee. And if you screw that up, you screw up the EMS system. So at a very microcosm level, this is why we're different than the other folks. At a very microcosm surgical strike level, top tier 1 operator, Navy SEAL, we see the best bang for the buck, the value for the dollar, how you can coach up or really screw up a system. We see the relationship between the CQI coach and the coachee to be the most important. And we want to rebuild that entire system, that relationship and the thinking drives behavior of the coach and the coachee. We want to change that thought process from compliance to swing coach. That's what season 2 is going to be about. We're going to build you to last. Pay attention to what we're talking about. If you are a CQI coordinator or you're a paramedic, listen to these podcasts. Pay attention to what Paul and I are talking about, because we've been around the block.
And we're hearing it from chiefs too. Chiefs of service, yeah. We're hearing it from, Kevin. So we're getting, We get phone calls from people all around the country, and typically they're managers and CQI folks and deputies and administrative types and that sort of thing. And they share their frustrations and stress with their current CQI process. And so this is our attempt to try to fill in some of those gaps, answer some of the questions that people present to us in terms of what challenges they're having, because quite frankly, everybody's having them in CQI and EMS. We're all having the same types of challenges. We've got 18 years of doing CQI as Gerard and Associates. I personally have been doing CQI before that as a supervisor and a manager for my own services. So there's a lot there to talk about, but it can be engaging and interesting and fun. It doesn't have to all be dry, bland, just monitor this, monitor that type of stuff.
But, we recognize that, it's like the movie Top Gun, right? I think we said something like that in the last podcast. So, you go to Top Gun, right? So in order to get into that Top Gun school, this is Tom Cruise and Goose. You remember that, Paul?
Yeah. Right. I remember.
Which one, if I was Tom, which one would you be if it was Maverick and Goose? What do you think you would be in our relationship?
Let's see. Maverick was Tom Cruise, right? And Goose was Val Kilmer?
No, Goose was the guy who died.
Yeah.
The guy who went ER.
Right.
So how's that for a medical reference?
Yeah, really. Nobody can remember that one either. I think I don't know. I don't know. Who do you think? I think I'm the Tom Cruise character as far as
Okay, so you're Maverick. You're okay. You're Maverick, and so that would make me Goose. So I'm the guy who ejects and breaks his neck off of the canopy.
Yeah, that's you.
And then you go through. And then you go through all of the 5 stages of death and dying, wondering if it's your fault. But you would never do it because you would never take responsibility for it.
No, I'd go through the first 2 steps of grief and then I'd quit because it's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort, right? Steps. Yeah. You got a podcast to do.
Yeah, and I like you, but 5 steps is a lot. I save that for my for my wife and kids.
Right. No, I agree with you.
I'll give you 2 steps though. I'll give you 2 steps.
But to finish the metaphor, it's you get to Top Gun because you're Top Gun, but they make you better. So, we really want everybody. If you're an aspiring 1%er, man, you really want to check in with Paul and I and put us on you follow us. If you are a 1%er, we can help you get better.
Did I tell you, Kevin, that there's a college, I think in Connecticut, an EMS training facility that shows our podcast and the couple of videos I did a long time. They show it to their classroom. Did I tell you that story?
Yeah, they just won
Yeah.
EMS System of the Year. I remember that, and it's because
Yeah.
of our podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So yeah,
right.
so
So there you
people,
go.
so people are looking at us in a strange sort of way. We have some medical directors. I had a physician I was talking to said he would listen to one of our podcasts and he thought it was great, and he wished that people would incorporate some of the stuff we talk about in their CQI system. So that's our goal, that's our aim.
Yeah.
And season 2, we're going to come on stronger than we did in season 1 because now we know a thing or two because we've done a thing or two in season 1.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Final thoughts, Paul, on season 1 going into season 2?
I think that we had a lot of good stuff in season 1, and what's interesting is every time we hang up after we finish the podcast, you and I continue the conversation sometimes offline, and we're thinking, oh, I wish we'd have mentioned this, that, or the other thing. So we're going to reinforce some of the principles of season 1 in season 2 and future seasons, such as the 4 C's, for example, of EMS CQI leadership. So that's that sort of stuff I think is helpful for folks, and we can flesh it out more and give people a little more detail on how to meet those concepts to improve their systems. And so it might be a little bit repetitive in that regard, but we have more to say on each of these topics. We just finished a podcast earlier today, and as soon as we hung up, I was thinking, I wish I'd have mentioned some of these other things. So we'll expand upon some of what we've already done. And we've got a whole bunch of new interesting topics that we find interesting, and I think you will as well, the listener. But stay in touch with us and let us know so that we can customize some of our content to things that people really want to know about how to manage and run their CQI process.
Yeah, preview of coming attractions in the Thinking Drives Behavior. It's if you're engaged in Paul and I in the G&A way and in that whole Thinking Drives Behavior, you're really going to dig next season because we're constantly getting better in presenting this material as well. And we have you back. We really want to make you bulletproof. We don't need to puff up and make somebody feel bad because we know more than they do. That's not the goal here. Right. The goal here is to make you bulletproof, make your medical director bulletproof, make your CQI program coordinator bulletproof, your chief bulletproof. Against who? Against all the people out there that want to harm you. We want to make you as bulletproof as possible. Pay attention to the 4 C's. The 4 C's is the Rosetta Stone, in my opinion, of all things leadership going forward, but particularly the leadership of this EMS CQI coordinator. The 4 C's, all right? It's the 4 C's, but we foresee. And through 80 years of teaching, coaching, mentoring, leadership, CQI, Paul and I are able to foresee a lot. And that's in part how we came up with the 4 C's of EMS CQI leadership behavior. So more on that in season 2.
That's it. Other than that, it's holiday season time, so we want to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever way you enjoy the holiday season. And that's basically all I've got, Kevin. Unless you've got something else to say, I think we wish them a well and happy and healthy, safe season, and we start season 2 tomorrow.
I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of total through Apple, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube. We got about 1,000 downloads, which I think is amazing. Next year, we want to at least double that, and we think we're going to kill it anyway. So, we got 1,000 this year. We want to do a total of 2,000 next year. That's a laudable goal in the podcasting realm. And we're up on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. So there's plenty of opportunity for those out there to tune in to the G&A Way EMS CQI podcast. And we really would love your feedback. I'd like to see us have some guests next year. We're working on that. And we really do want your questions, comments about the podcast and topics that you'd like to see what Paul and I think about it, because that's always a trip down. That's a magical trip when you ask, okay, what do you and Paul really think about honorable but broken crisis in EMS. And we take it to Jurassic Park. So that's kind of where we're at with this stuff. I'd say The Wolf of Wall Street, you may see some metaphor coming from that movie and screenplay next year, but hopefully make this as entertaining for you as possible so you can't put us down. That's the goal. So help us do that, please.
All right. Again, a good place to start is at the website, gerardassociates.com. And there's a lot of resources there, a lot of things you can download, but also links to Kevin and I as well. So, stop in, check it out, stay in touch. Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
But beyond all that, enjoy the holiday season with your loved ones and stay safe out there, folks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. So, hey, Paul, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I love you.
Well.
I can't, we have been together since the 80s. Mm-hmm. And that is the longest relationship in my life that is not family. And that means a lot. And there's something to this Paul and Kevin and the G&A way and all of this. And I really appreciate your teaching, coaching, and mentoring over the past, since 1989 as well. So thank you, my brother.
I appreciate you as well. And we will talk next in the new season.
Godspeed. See you in season 2.
Stay safe, everyone.
On 5.